Screencast 57, creating charts with multiple series. Welcome Dynamics AX content creators. Today we're going to discuss creating multi-series charts for role centers in Dynamics AX. Now the things we're showing today, I want to remind you, are specifically introduced with the R2 release. And this is built on the ASP.NET chart control that ships with the .NET 3.5 framework. But it's used to do things like visualize visualize related data in your role centers, and gives quick and easy access to data, aggregate data, for easy interpretation of how things are doing. You have access to over 35 distinct chart types, and most of the things are designed using the ASP.NET chart control markup in Visual Studio. Now this is specifically for cases where you have a predefined set of series that you know you'll be visualizing. Cases like where you're showing income versus expenses, cash flow versus cash outflow, monthly comparisons, situations where you know exactly how many items would show up in your legend. These are called multiple series charts. And we recommend, building these things first and foremost using static data. We want you to do the separation of development on binding to AX data versus getting the chart control to have the features and functionality you're ultimately shooting for in the final product. So let's take a look at creating multiple series chart controls with Dynamics AX. And for this demonstration, I've got an AX instance running, and we're really targeting some of the chart controls you'll see in our out-of-box role center pages. So this is an example of a multi-series chart. It's got cash inflow versus cash outflow, and then it overlays it with a net profit ratio comparison. So this is a standard chart. It's a 3-series chart, and this is something that I'll show you how to create today. So we'll jump right in. Where we left off is we had created just a basic chart bound to a single series of data spanning between January and May. So I've already got my debugger running, so I can come in here and quickly make changes directly to the markup. Let's just change these two values. I'll do a save here, switch right back, hit F5, and you'll actually see these values change immediately here. So it's at the 50 mark, even though it says 200K. So this makes debugging very simple. I can just work in the markup. There's no compile step. I simply have to save my changes and I can see the result. So this makes development happen extremely fast. So for right now, I only have a single series here. I'm going to go ahead and define my chart area. It's usually safe to do this. We'll get into using multiple chart areas. Actually, there's plenty of documentation on doing this in MSDN. It's nothing special. We did nothing to extend the abilities of the ASP.NET chart control when it comes to chart areas. So if you're interested in having multiple chart areas, I recommend looking at the documentation up on MSDN regarding the ASP.NET chart control. But for right now, we're simply going to have a single series. I've got some code in here. I'm going to go ahead and define a second series on this chart. And this just allows me to, having static data, allows me to do all of the formatting without worrying about having access to the source data set. I have ultimate control over what my charts look like. I've got a file here. Let's go ahead and fix this. Sweet. So what I've done is I've just added a second series in my series aggregate within the chart control and my ASP.NET markup. And that's going to give me a second series. I'll go ahead and save it. I just have to make sure it has a unique name. I'll give this one the name income. Say this one is expense. Save both of those. Go back over here and do a quick F5 and see what that gives me. And you'll see that there's now 2 series here, which allows you to do some comparison against related data. Now this is a pretty tight squeeze here. So let's see if I can come over here and just quickly go over to the design. I've been using the source up to now, but the design editor is also available to you. So you can use the design editor to do things like set up sizing that makes sense for you. So go ahead, I can come here, do the save, flip right back over to my source. You'll see that it's done some changes to my markup. Don't worry about it. The things that were important were these height and width things. So if you remove these, everything would look fine. But let's go ahead and now look at the difference that's made here. Okay, so my control got wider because I was able to stretch the width of it, and now I can come in here and give it a fixed width if I have a target width that I'm actually looking for. So in this case, I'll just do 450. A nice round number. So now that we've got two series in here, we can do things. Let me clean up some of this, like change the types of charts that we're using. If I wanted to come over here and say, chart type, and right now we've been using, these are called column charts. Let's do a different view. Let's try to look at these, as bar charts. Let's see the difference. Most people often confuse those vertical graphs as bar charts, but they're actually column charts. Bar charts actually go to the right, left. So now we have control over the chart types themselves. I can, these are, and then you have access to a number of different values here. And what's awesome about the markup is it gives you support for just giving you a list of what's available here. And let's just do stacked area as a good view. So and you can imagine that you can come in here and really come up with some creative graphics, and just spend a little time playing around with the markup. Like I said, there's a lot of information on MSDN, and the other really cool thing is that you can do, let's just do column charts. You can mix different types of charts, which is really good for building things like what you saw in the income versus expense. Let's just quickly call this, and we'll just do whatever, compare, and come back. And awesome, look at that. Now you've got a 3 series chart with 2 columns and a line chart that would indicate the average or medium, depending upon your graphing situation. But as you saw, I didn't leave any of the markup. I was able to build most of this, just get the view I'm looking for directly here. And now that I have a target view that I'm looking for, I'm ready to go ahead and start binding to my data. So this is the part where you will start working with AX and creating a model data connection. And we will cover that in the next session, I believe. But I just checked the clock, and that's all the time I've got. If you have topics that you'd like to see covered in future sessions, be sure to let us know. You can reach me at our blog on msdn.com. Just search for Dynamics AX BI and get plugged in. Again, my name is TJ Vassar, and thanks for watching.